There's something about the challenge of working with people toward a common goal, and a wedding, when it's done very, very well, I think it's incredibly memorable. And we don't get to experience that kind of effort very often in this life. I had this idea for Flower Scout in 2012, and I started growing things in a community garden, and maybe 10 people bought into a CSA that I ran at that time. I mean, I've thought a lot about how lucky I was to kind of land in this community where I'm from. People were really generous about buying bouquets and trying things out. And then as businesses grew here in this moment of kind of a little bit of transformation in Troy, a lot of those new businesses were supportive of me as well. We do deliveries. Someone could just order a bouquet for a loved one. We also do some coffee shop deliveries. So we'll make bouquets that people can grab spontaneously. And we have a CSA. People can get a subscription and get a bouquet every week all summer long. And then we do weddings. When someone comes to me for a wedding, we get on the phone when they're ready and talk about whether they have any ideas of their aesthetic so far. A lot of times in our first conversation, we'll just sort of talk about things that they love. Sometimes it's been a film, sometimes it's been a place, it's been a fashion designer or a painter. So if I can spend a little bit of time looking at the thing that they're in love with and thinking about it, I can notice, like, okay, are there common textures about that? Are there tones, shape that comes up again and again? And then we can apply that in our floral design. And that's, I think, very interesting and makes for a special event. So for this wedding yesterday, they were inspired, interestingly, by Hilma af Klint and Dutch Masters, which are two very different artistic styles, but we folded them together. But the weekend before, the vibe was roadside ditch, but make it chic. That was the line. I would really love to help people connect with and be more aware of the environment and season that they are in. Right now, that means asters, that means some decay and interesting patterns on foliage, bringing people into an awareness of the moment aesthetically. If I'm going to do this work, I want to do this work as sustainably as possible. So we are growing all of our own flowers if we can. We're buying them from really local farms. We're reusing every element in a wedding. And that feels as much of a mission to me as anything. This year we had about 25 full service weddings, meaning we were on site delivering and setting things up. And I think we had about 20 a la carte weddings where people would pick something up from us or we would just make delivery. People are really generous and come back and say that working with us is a comfortable experience. And that, a lot of times I think people have never planned a wedding before and it's a lot of work. And I hope that my attitude generally takes some of that pressure off. I'm Coley Collin and this is Flower Scout.